I am Greg, and I know the weirding way.
Wait, I hope what's his name makes a reappearance from our previous podcast episode about Klaus or the Ravers, the German.
Oh yeah, the German Ravers
hope
from
he makes an
the
appearance.
David Lynch version.
I can guarantee they're not going to.
With the umchika.
The Spring Awakening.
We will bring the worms, and we will have a worm party. Yeah.
Okay, we'll edit all that out, but I just like that.
Off the rails already.
So silly.
I love Mr. Lynch. He lets us do whatever we want.
Yeah, we did not get invited to this episodes of the podcast.
We also love all the blue eyes. It is very Teutonic.
Yeah, they wasn't any of that.
Yeah, they didn't do the blue eyes. Yeah.
Right,
except for the mother.
All right, we gotta let him do it.
I got an intro to fucking read here. All right.
He was not. He's distracting to me.
Yeah.
I was like, this is distracting because I know I'm watching Christopher Walken, and he's like, I'm the Emperor, and I'm very old, but also the sandworms should be talked about. And I was just like, this is so fucking distracting. And then
I didn't think it was that distracting.
No,
I think you did a pretty good job of playing it.
To me.
Pretty.
I agree.
Muted.
I coincidentally, like literally, I was talking to colleagues today at work, and the one thing they brought up is that the one out of place character was Christopher Walken. Like he's the one actor in it that takes you out of that world and is like, oh, it's Christopher Walken. Like you're just like, oh, that seems weird. Like I totally agreed after they said that. I was like, you know what? You're right. Like it's kind of distracting and just out of place.
It'd be like Adam Sandler as the Emperor or something like, oh wow.
Another sidebar. I do have to say, so I saw it twice. The first time I saw it on IMAX, it was fantastic. Second time, I saw it in 4D. Have you ever?
Yeah, I've done 4D shit.
You've done 4D before?
I used to work at the Shed Aquarium, and they had a 4D theater.
Is that like where the chair shakes?
Squirts water in your face.
The chairs move.
Oh, really?
Blasts moisture in your face. There was a little hose
fart smell up at
between
you.
my calves that like inflates with air and it wiggles around. They like every time there's like a laser or a gunshot or something like that, they're like puffing air in your ears.
So it's all the shit that you hate about movie theaters, like kid kicking you in the back of the chair.
Oh my god,
was it bad? Like
it was bad. It was
fucking
terrible.
irritating as hell.
There was only like two situations I think that I thought like this actually enhances the experience, and one was like the camera work where it like slowly goes over the dunes, like it slowly rises. The chairs would like give you the feeling that you're like flying, kind of, like with the camera. That was cool. And then there's like they're punching Paul's about to ride the worm. He's like punching the sand, and you can like feel the vibration. Like that was cool. Everything else fucking sucked. That was so dumb. Like every time they went from indoor to outdoor, these fans would fucking kick on. Like you hear the motor and it'd be like blasting you in the face with cold air.
Did they add shit?
No, because there's a smell.
The worm smell.
Yeah, it was advertised as like there's an aroma, and I was like, okay,
I don't want an aroma.
I've read the books. I know spice smells like cinnamon. I'm getting ready for smelling some cinnamon. There's no cinnamon. It was like maple or some shit. Some weird, and you're only sort of
maple
vaguely
spice.
aware of it.
It's a Starbucks flavor. Is that maple spice?
Sort of. Yeah. I was like, do I smell something? Is that my imagination? Like it was very subtle, but then by the end you're like, yeah, no, they're doing that on purpose, and it's like kind of off-putting. I mean, it's vaguely pleasant, but also just kind of weird.
And you probably paid more for this experience.
It was only like $5 more than a regular ticket, which was made me feel a little bit better, but I still felt ripped off at the end. I was like, this was so distracting, like the entire time. I felt bad for the people who I was with because that was the first time they were seeing the movie, and I was like, God, I feel like.
Did you pick this experience or something?
I asked them if they wanted to do that, and they're like, "Yes, let's try it out. We've never done it before." So I was like, "All right, it might suck, but it sucked."
Each seat has a little hose that blows sand in your face.
There was a button that allows you to turn the moisture on and off because there's and it kicked on during the Twisters preview for the new Twister movie.
Oh yeah.
And it was Twisters. Like I had a drink, then I didn't have a drink because that shit was fucking everywhere. And then it blasts you in the face with like it feels like spit because it's just moisture. And I was like, nope, turning that off. I do not need that experience. But that was like, you could still feel it. There was like puffs going everywhere during these scenes. And during like knife fights, like someone gets stabbed, like run through, and it's like a massage chair. You feel like a knuckle right in your back. I cannot say enough bad things about fucking 4D. Let's never, as a society, we don't need this. This is so dumb.
The shit aquarium had a built-in 4D theater, and when my son was really little, I took him to Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs because I was just walking around, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, do you want to see the movie?" And he was like, "Okay," he was like 3 or something. So I bring him into this movie, and it's a 4D theater. And first thing that happens is like this mother T-Rex comes out and is like, "Ah!" And the chairs shake, and like the sound is like volume 400, and he just shits his pants. He's just like, "Ah!" Take him out of there. So I take him out of the 4D theater. He's crying and crying and crying. And this guy, Joseph Nixon, who's like the nicest dude who ran the whole theater and audience experience, comes over and he's like, "Oh, is it okay, buddy? Are you okay?" I was like, he got scared about it, and he was like, the sloth was scared because it was like the dinosaur was yelling at a sloth. And then the guy's like, "Yeah, it was scary. It was scary." But Grant remembered that moment afterward as the guy coming and warning me first, and then me bringing him in anyway. And I was like, "No,
terrible, Greg.
He warned you after I didn't drag you into a theater after a stern warning."
Greg, that's fucked up, man.
Scary it was.
Yeah.
Don't bring a small child to a 4D theater. It'll scare the shit out of him. Oh my god, it's so bad.
That's the warning to the audience. 4D theaters, not
4D theaters,
especially for Dune.
For everything. It sucks for everything.
Unless you got that popcorn bucket in 4D.
Oh god.
That's why they made the bucket that
Jesus
way.
Christ.
To keep the popcorn in.
Not suitable for theater.
Keep the popcorn in is why they made the bucket.
Not suitable for theater. You get your own little booth.
I did go to an AMC theater the first time to see it, and they were selling those, and I was I can't even ironically buy this. This is so horrible.
It'd be funny just to have it behind you as a prop, though.
No. During that scene in the 4D, I mean,
I want to know what happened.
Like shaking all over the place, and then I got hit in the face with a blast of like moist air.
Jesus
and like
Christ.
The nerdy side of me was like, "Motherfucker, I'm on Arrakis. There's no moisture in the air. You are completely taking me out of this."
Suck the moisture out of dead people. It's so dry there. Christ.
How do the subsequent books rank from the first one?
Jesus, man.
Do they go downhill?
How many are there?
6. What I would call canon books that were written by Frank Herbert before he died. And then everything after that was picked up by his son,
Tim Herbert.
Brian Herbert. Please don't sue us. Herbert Estate. And Kevin J. Anderson, who's another sci-fi author. Those are terrible. They're all terrible.
Written by Jim Davis of Garfield fame.
But they're not considered...
I sure hate Mondays on Arrakis.
Sandworms are like tiger stripes on them.
So
looking for lasagna.
Eat lasagna. The lasagna worms are a little itchy today.
So do his son's books fall?
He tries to plug in the gaps and stuff. So actually,
in the timeline, did they pick up where his father's work left off, or is he trying to do like
he goes and
parallel
does prequels
timeline?
and shit? He does like thousands of years before,
Gotcha.
and he just like takes. There's a character. Let's find out how they came about. Like,
exactly. That's what I was saying about prequels last time. Is they suck. They're always like,
nobody wants to.
Let's figure out how these two characters met. I'm like, I don't care.
No, it's terrible.
We know they all die. So
except for
I know exactly. Like this guy becomes Darth Vader later. Do I really need to know how good he is at pod racing?
No, absolutely not. No one does.
Fucking
it's even worse than that. He's like, here's a concept that was mentioned once. Let's do a whole trilogy on that concept. Here's a house. Ever want to know where that house came from? We're gonna fucking make a planet and write about it. It's terrible. It's just awful.
It's like how The Simpsons. It's like how The Simpsons has been on for 34 years. So they're like, remember Hans Mole Man? Let's have a whole episode where we find out how Hans Mole Man got his glasses. And you're like, yeah, you guys ran out of ideas. Clearly,
Mole Man lore.
So it's Dune, And then is it Dune Messiah next?
Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune.
Okay.
Heretics of Dune, Chapter House Dune. So
that's
Dune
canon.
Dune Messiah happens 12 years after the events of Dune. Children of Dune happens, I don't know how long, like maybe another 10, 15 years after that. God Emperor of Dune happens 3,500 fucking years after Children of Dune. And there's a lot of the same characters because a lot of weird shit happens.
Poor Brian Herbert. 3,500 years? I gotta fill 3,500 years? Jesus Christ, Dad.
Then Heretics of Dune is like another 4,000 years after God Emperor of Dune. And then Chapter House Dune happens right after Heretics of Dune. And there was supposed to be another book after that, but Frank Herbert died and left his notes in a safe deposit box. And guess who had the key to him? His son.
His untalented son.
I'm going to write a bunch of books based off my dad's notes. So you got to buy them, right?
Pop would be so proud of me.
And I did buy them.
Yeah, I did. Every one.
I actually did read the first 3 that he wrote, thinking they would be good. It was like it was about House Harkonnen, House Atreides, and House Carino, which is the Emperor's house. And it was terrible. Like fan fiction. It was really meh. But anyway, which one's the best? My favorite out of all of them is God Emperor of Dune, right smack dab in the middle. I feel like Dune Messiah gets a lot of hate, but I think it's actually a really interesting book. But action-wise, there's not a lot of action, so it'll be interesting to see how he makes this movie. Children of Dune is great. A lot of action, a lot of taking characters that existed in the first couple books and like fleshing them out, and they get a lot more to do. Lots more like political intrigue and backstabbing and all that kind of stuff. And it sets in motion for God Emperor. God Emperor is basically a philosophical tome, like set with like a weird descendant of Paul Muad'Dib, who is half worm, half man.
Oh, come on.
I'm not even fucking kidding.
Come on. Does it play cards with the Spider Bug Man?
Muad'Dib.
Friday nights. Muad'Dib. We're not even talking about the Spider-Man.
Yeah. So I won't ruin it, but that like, yeah, the descendant of Paul he's the God Emperor of the universe, and he's figured out a way to like become a human worm hybrid.
Oh, Jesus Christ, it sounds terrible.
No, it does sound terrible. It sounds fucking terrible on paper, but it is great. I promise you.
Are you going to reread the books before Messiah? He does the next one.
I will reread Messiah. Yeah. But no, I like to come back and just read God Emperor of Dune every now and again because it's really, really dense with a lot of just philosophy. Like he used that as basically just a avenue to have his weird philosophical theories through the mouthpiece of a fucking worm man. So it's all these like soliloquies. It's like he's like floating on this little cart talking to his minions and going on about humanity and their penchant for setting up governments with only 3 legs. You know what they say about governments with only 3 legs, don't you? It's like all that shit. It's an entire book of it.
And you like that?
I'm not doing it justice. It is actually brilliantly written, and there's just a ton in there that is like worth mulling over. So I'll go to the mat over God Emperor of Dune being fantastic. But a lot of people, they don't care for it.
Worm Dune.
Yeah. And then Heretics and Chapter House are fucking super weird, and there's villains that come from the other side of the galaxy who are escaping something, but they're it focuses really heavily on the Bene Gesserit. Like the last 2, like they basically become the Atreides. Like they're the main focus of the story moving forward, which I think is interesting once you get to that point, because then you go back and reread Dune and you see the Bene Gesserit like a completely new light. So, but
I mean, does he like lose the thread?
No, absolutely not. No, it is
like,
I mean, he packs a lot more in there, but there is a thread that is prevalent in Dune. It's there in the book, and you don't know it until you get to God Emperor of Dune. That's what he was talking about.
Okay.
So he did a fantastic job. I mean, he's not like Dune isn't considered one of the greatest works of science fiction for no reason. Like there's a lot there.
Did you guys think at any point, like, there were, I didn't think about it too much, but there were parts in this second one where I was thinking, is this the right actor to play Paul?
Yeah.
Like, I felt like that a little bit. Like, he's a little frail, a little small. Like, I don't know, like to be this like great fighter thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think Timothée Chalamet's a good actor. There's some part of it. There was like a very small part of me that was like in disbelief of like, this would be somebody that everybody would get behind. And I mean, I think he does a great job with it. And I'm not like, just like every once in a while, I'm like, is that believable? Like, he's kind of, like, is this a great, then you look at the Lynch version. I think he's an example.
I think he's perfect in part one. You can train someone in battle, and like, you can be a rich little punk who knows how to stab. You can teach martial arts to someone. You can teach techniques, fighting techniques, but you're still a little rich dilettante. He's like the rich son of a king. And, not ready to lead, not ready for real action, not ready for anything. And then he gets cast out and his life gets turned upside down. I wish they had roughed him up a little in the second movie, like shaved his head, like give him stubble, on his head instead. I don't know if that dude can grow a beard, but like, rough him up a little. And
just kind of like a pretty boy the whole time.
Because when he comes back as transformed leader Paul Muad'Dib, like, I mean, they don't do the blue eyes thing, so that's something they drop. I kind of think they should have done the blue eyes because his mother gets it when she drinks the water.
They made it really subtle. I mean, his eyes were bluish.
Ish. But it's.
They just went subtle across the board for most of them, except for Jessica.
But I feel like that Brian is onto something. Like, they need to have him physically transform as well, and not just look like a pretty boy son of a king who just has different clothes. Yeah.
Like it's like he just becomes this like great fighting desert warrior in 9 months. Like, it's like you need to. Yeah, it was just that part was a little. I get why he's doing it that way, but it's like they didn't change him at all. They just like gave him dirty clothes, the hair, and like it's like, oh, he still looks like a prince. Like,
his hair is insured by Lloyd's of London for £1 million, so you can't chop it off.
So it's a weird thing where it's like good actor, but it feels a little off in a way. Not like in the Christopher Walken off, where you're like,
you're like,
just shoehorned him
distracting as hell. Yeah,
but it's just kind of like they could have like. Messied him up a little or something,
fuck him up a little bit,
because I think like they do a better job with like Zendaya as Chani, kind of like
absolutely,
just like than the rest of the Fremen too, especially like Stilgar or whatever. Like, he fits kind of in perfectly with. But again, to your point, maybe he can't grow a beard. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
So like where he needs to look a little different, but.
I mean, this movie is full of beautiful, attractive people. Like everyone in this movie is almost
showering.
A model, but they rough them all up, like James, Josh Brolin looks like he's been through a war, even Harry Montana or whatever the hell Momoa's name is, Duncan Idaho. Yeah, they rough him up a little even though he's still kind of, there are attractive people that they rough up and make them look like they've been through wars and battles and lived in the desert for decades and stuff like that. And Chalamet is the one person where they're like,
well, he doesn't change at all. They don't give him
right through.
A sunburn. They don't give him
skates right through.
Nothing.
Yep.
Like,
it was a big job.
I can't just wait to see him do the half worm, man worm.
Yeah, I know, right?
He's not touching that.
Who will play the half worm?
Christopher Walken is the man worm.
Never coming out.
I'm back from boot kissing, and I am in control. Feed me people.
It's making me think of the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland.
One makes you smaller.
Google the Dune covers. Like the cover of God Emperor of Dune has like what's essentially the fucking caterpillar from.
God damn.
Worship me.
Sitting on a mushroom. Smoking.
I'm sorry. It's hard to take you seriously as a leader. You look fucking ridiculous.
You're half worm? What?
Which half of you is worm?
He's actually like 80% worm.
Oh no, I'm actually 80% worm.
He's got a person's body, but like a worm head. That's what I want to see. His little legs walking under this huge worm ball.
That's the wrong combo for this leadership.
That's what I want.
I'm gonna Google it. Which one is it? That's
God Emperor of Dune.
He looks like Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
Really? No, I gotta look this shit up.
It's like Jabba the Hutt meets the Sphinx.
All right. Well, do we have any other topics?
Oh my God! Just Google it and then look at the image search.
Oh yeah, there's some good ones.
There's some awesome ones.
There's some good ones.
It's like the Sphinx if the Sphinx were a poop. It's the poop Sphinx. Holy shit! That's such a terrible drawing.
MySpace avatar for a long time.
I would never buy this book ever if I saw that cover.
I swear to God, it is a really, really great story.
It looks so stupid.
If you can get the book on tape, do that.
The book on tape has a break where he's like, "Now picture this: a giant poop with the head of the Sphinx."
That's not great.
I know. Look at this one.
Yeah, this is the part where we
share my clip. I'm gonna share mine.
It's a share button at the bottom.
Screen. Where is it? Can you see this one? Look at it.
That's the version I have.
It looks like a turd.
That's the edition of book I have. That's the cover.
Oh yeah.
Holy crap! It's so fucking dumb. Oh my God! It looks so amateurish.
I'm gonna start reading Dune Messiah.
Do it. Dune it.
Dune it.
There's some great characters in Dune Messiah. Man. I can't wait for Bajaz on the screen.
I got some reading I'm going to catch up with before I ever get to any of these Dune books, which is me saying I'm never going to read these Dune books.
Gonna see some guild navigators, gonna see some Golas, gonna see some stone burners.
No vagina whales in this one.
No, I mean there's the guild navigators. Yeah, but
they look.
I can't wait to see what they look like in Denny's version.